welcome to the Fiber Tales podcast. My name is Lærke and I'm coming to you from the southern part of Fyn in Denmark, which is one of the larger islands in Denmark. And I'm coming from my new house. Today we are inside because it's not so warm anymore. Last time I podcasted in the garden was really hot, and it's been really hot for a long time, but now the weather cooled down, so we are back in the house. And I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who left comments last time. It was really nice to be back, and I'm so happy that coming back to podcasting was so positive. If you are a new viewer, this is a podcast about mainly knitting. Sometimes I do talk about sewing and other crafts, but generally knitting, and I talk about designing as well. I am sipping on a cup of tea, and this is a Clipper tea. It's the organic orange and coconut infusion, and this tea I would never have expected to like it, so that's why I mention it. It's normally I drink loose tea, so if you watch some of my earliest episodes, you will see that I always sit and get tea leaves in my mouth. And I just generally really like the feel of loose tea, but if I feel like something easy, or I don't know, just sometimes I don't feel like, I just feel like something very simple, this is a really nice tea, so I would recommend that. I have a lot to talk about. I will talk about works in progress. I don't have that many because I've been working mainly on a few design ideas, and as always it's hard to show the design ideas. But I wanted to talk about baby knits later in the episode because I'm expecting a baby. If you haven't noticed, I have this beautiful belly. And I already have a daughter who is, she just turned 3 years old, so that was really nice. We had a birthday party, and there's been a lot of presents and birthday going on. And so I wanted to talk about baby knits, so that will be later in the episode. But and I will talk a little bit more about the bump because I have some news and a little exciting announcement. I'm just looking down in my notes. I'm in a different setup today, as you can see. I know it's not so great to have the window in the back, but the thing is, in this living room, there are windows all the way along the side and on the other side, and I tried different positions and I didn't really like any of the other ones, and I really like to have the green in the background, so I'm trying this out. If I realize it's not really working out, okay, I'm back. The camera was the little tripod thingy I'm using. It was falling. It happened before. As I was saying, in this house there are a lot of windows, and it's one of the things I really love about this house. But if it's not working, if I realize I'm too, the background is quite blown out, but I just really wanted to sit here and podcast today. Let's jump straight into what I've been working on. I showed you last podcast that I started a shawl design in this beautiful yarn, which is the samite. It looks more red on the camera. It's a lot more muted, warm cinnamon brown, not so red as it appears. And this yarn is from Blacker Yarns. Let me see if I can find the tag because I know it's down here. Yep. This is the tag, and it's a woolen spun, woolen silk blend, and you can see the details here if it wants to focus. Yep. It looks, though, my friend just told me that it looks like it's been discontinued, this yarn, which is great because I'm designing this shawl in and I would prefer if the yarn was not discontinued, but it can be substituted with so many other fingering weight yarns, so I think it doesn't really matter. Last time I showed you, I think I was working on this part, so I can show you this much. The first part of the shawl is just a very simple triangular shaped shawl, and I'm working on a border, which took me a long time to figure out. I had this idea in mind and I really wanted it to work, and I haven't knit many shawls, so I don't have much experience with techniques, how to attach a border and how to get the shaping right, especially in the bottom. Yeah, I just did a lot of different experiments and I finally came up with something that I really like. So I won't show you, but it's down here. I'm working on something. Yeah, it's hanging off and I'm knitting it on as I go. So that's the shawl for now. I hope to be finished soon. It's really addictive. The place I am, yeah, what I'm doing right now, I think it's really addictive and I'm really excited to see if it works out. It looks like it's working out as I imagined. I was working on this design for quite some time and I had to redo the border a lot of times to get it exactly as I wanted, and I just felt like maybe I should be knitting on something else for a little bit because I'm just working very focused on this one project. So I ordered some yarn. It's behind me. I'll just take two of them. It's this beautiful Plötulopi, which is an Icelandic yarn, and it smells so sheepy. It's so wonderful. You get it in these cakes, like flat cakes of yarn. I don't know if you would call it a cake. And it's just once you open the plastic wrap, it just smells so wonderful and sheepy. In the good way, not in a sheepy, dirty way, but in a very nice and clean way. And I have these two colors, which are the two lightest grays. The lightest gray, I think, before white. Oh, and the other gray is this one. And I ordered these 4 plates wow. So now it's totally blown out. Let me just see if I can fix this and come back. So I think it's better now. Now it's a bit darker, so I will see how this works. Every time you change your setting when you're making videos, it's just getting used to something new, and we will see how this goes. Let me have some more tea. So I ordered this Plötulopi, which I have ordered for another design. That's a little collaboration design I will be working on. But as I said, I've been so into that shawl that I've been just knitting on the shawl pretty much constantly. So I have this to start on very soon. I did the swatching and I have the design already planned out, and it's quite simple, so I think it will be okay. It's a garment. So I still felt like working on something else that was not my own design. It happens. It's like when you're working on your own designs, it just, there's a lot of thinking involved. You're writing down the pattern as you go, and sometimes it's really nice just to work from instructions. So I really felt like casting on something for the baby, and I made these. I started them last night. Aren't they adorable? I still have to weave in the ends. They are the most tiny little cute. Let me just show. This is my hand. I mean, this is where the hand would go, right? So these are the smallest little mittens, and they don't have the thumb because they're for babies, so they don't really need the thumb. They're a little wet because I washed them to block them, and so the colors are a little darker, and now I don't know what's happening with this. Okay, it's a little bit lighter. Let's see if I can get it. There you go. I think they're just too cute, and it's pattern that I found on Ravelry. It's called Miniselbu, I think. It's by, let me see, she's called Tina Hauglund, and it's a free pattern. I will put a link down below to my Ravelry project page where you can find the pattern and the yarn that I used. But I really wanted to start this, and I just wanted to use little scraps, so I had some leftovers of it has been unraveled, so it's a little wonky. It's called Inglegarn, which is a Danish yarn, and it's a merino wool, but it's a very rustic kind of merino. I guess it's non-superwash. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's non-superwash because of the feel, and it's yeah, I don't remember much else. I got this a long time ago, but you can find it on the website, and I will link to it on my Ravelry page. I will link to the yarn on Ravelry. That's what I wanted to say. And actually, I'm unraveling from this project that I tried to make once. I think these were the like little booties that I tried to make, and they turned out way too big, and so I never got to unravel everything, but I think I have enough for the second mitt, I'm pretty sure. And the contrast color is this Jameson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight, which I got at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and it is a very specific color, and I really liked it when I saw it inside. Like at Edinburgh there were no windows pretty much, or they were up high, so you had the artificial light, and I thought it was this perfect autumn cinnamon color that I really like. Unfortunately, once I got it out, it has a lot of yellow in it that I'm not so crazy about, like a yellowish green. I don't know if you can see, but I thought it would work great for the contrasting color, and I think it did. I think it tones the yellow greenish mix down. So yeah, these are super adorable, and you can see it's not super even. I haven't I think it's my first pair of like colorwork mittens I've ever done, and I think it's a perfect beginner's project because it's very quick and easy to make. It did take some time because I've been knitting them on these very, very tiny 2 millimeters. I think it's a 0 in US size, and these 2 millimeter needles. And so to go up or down in size, you just change the needle size. So it's a quite thick fabric. Normally I wouldn't knit this yarn on a 2 millimeter, but it makes them much smaller, and for a baby they just need to keep their hands warm like a newborn. So my baby's due in when is it? January. My baby's due in January, and that means I will need something to cover the little hands with in the beginning, and so I think these will be great. If they are too big, it doesn't really matter because they don't really need them to be functional. They just need some, like a sock to put over their hands, and I often use socks on my daughter when she was little if I didn't have anything else. The only thing I made different is the back, because as you can see down here there's like a V shape happening, like a V pattern, and it was supposed to do like a crisscross pattern all the way up, and I was knitting them late last night, and yeah, I just realized when I was like up here that I was not making the right pattern. And then I thought, okay, I can rip back, or I can, how do I feel about this new pattern? Because it's constant, right? So it's not like it looks bad, and I actually like it. So I just decided, okay, I go with this. It's not a big deal. I think with knitting, you should always decide, is the mistake something that looks like a mistake, first of all? Like if it's something like this, I don't mind. And if it's not important to the overall look of things, or you actually like it better, then just keep going, because yeah, I think this is cute. It should be different. And there's actually like a little chart you can fill in yourself on the free pattern, so you could just make whatever you feel like would be cute. So they're a lot of fun to make. I have to start the other one soon, because if not I end up like with the little baby booty that I was making, that I only made one. But I was waiting to figure out also what was the sex of the baby, which I will wait to tell you till a little bit later. Now I'm just gonna talk about the works in progress. So I have a hoe, I have finished object. Oh, and I can show you the inside. It's still a bit damp, but I think the floats are nice, right? They look, you can see the pattern, and then the back, it's not really looking like anything, but that's okay. They're really thick, and I think they will be perfect. Now I just have to leave them to dry, and I'm super excited about these. And the merino I used for the base is really soft. It's rustic merino, but it's still very soft, so I think it's perfect for baby's hands. So that's what I've been working on, the shawl and these little mitts and some swatching. And yeah, sometimes the swatching and the trying out different ideas just takes a lot of time and can be a little frustrating, because you feel like you haven't made anything really, but you have. It's just, as a designer, it's part of the process and it's fun, but sometimes time just runs out. And yeah, my daughter just went back to kindergarten, or she started kindergarten. She was in daycare before, and I'm finally having a bit more time, but her days are not that long yet. I'm still trying to pick her up early, so I have to really think about how I want to spend my time and be really good about time management, which I'm really not. So that's the thing, I'm trying to get into a rhythm of getting everything done. Not just start knitting in the morning and then the day just slips away. That's one of the challenges when you work from home. So yeah, that's it. I have been working on something else, which is knitting and design related. Last year I released my first ever pattern, which is, oh, it's gonna blow out everything. It's a sweater pattern, which features this very, very nice 2-color brioche and a little bit of color work and a very simple but elegant design, I think. And when I released it, I was still trying to understand the whole grading part, and I released it only in 3 sizes, so small, medium, large. I couldn't get testers for the bigger sizes because I didn't really have a huge following on Instagram. So I found it really hard to get testers for the bigger sizes, and also I think my sizing was a bit off, or it was. So I've been revisiting the sizing and trying to work in a little bit different way with sizing. So I made an Excel sheet, and well, it was a Google spreadsheet, and trying to be really to approach grading in a different way, not just on a piece of scrap paper. And I've been learning a lot, and it took some time, but I think this time is really well spent, because it will hopefully be easier next time I try to grade something. And so I made sizes, I changed the size large. So I think the size large was more like a medium in the first time I released the pattern. So instead of removing those 2 medium large, I just did 2 medium sizes. So a medium 1 and a medium 2. I normally wouldn't do that, but since I already did all the math and it fit my testers, I thought it was okay, I could just leave those 2. So I have a small, medium 1, medium 2, and a large. And so the large is a new large, so in case you have the pattern, and there will be a new large coming out. And then I did all the way up to 4 times extra large. And I've been looking for testers again, and just like last time, it's really hard to get testers for the bigger sizes, so I only managed to get testers up until to like extra large, and I really hope I can find someone who is willing to work on the 3 or 4 extra large, because I don't know what to do with those sizes. I did the calculations, but I would feel really bad to, I would feel really bad to publish something that hasn't been tested. So I'm trying to figure out what I should do with that, because I would really like to include as many sizes as possible. So yeah, trying to figure out, but I will start the testing. Hopefully today I will manage to get my tester started, and then it will be a month or so before the pattern is ready to be updated. It's already released, but it will be updated so you can get the larger sizes. So just one last look, I just wanted to show it. I talked a lot about this pattern in some of my earlier episodes, so go back and watch those if you want to hear all the story behind it. And I talk about the yarn, which is a Gotland yarn, and I really love this design, but I don't want to repeat myself too much, so go back and watch those if you're interested to know more, and if you're interested in testing. On my Instagram, which is Fiber Tales, I'm Fiber Tales everywhere, so that's pretty easy. But on my Instagram you can find more information, more details, and I think I will make some kind of Ravelry in my group, which is Fiber Tales Podcast. If you search it in the Ravelry search tab for groups, I think I want to make some kind of guidelines for testing, just so it's more easy and you can go and read everything and be sure it's something for you before you sign up for testing. Oh, talking so fast and I'm losing my breath. So when I started thinking about doing this, revisiting this pattern, it was very funny because I thought about this. I went on Ravelry, I haven't been for a long time looking at new patterns, and I was just browsing through the new patterns section, and I saw a very similar design to mine. It is a brioche yoke sweater, and it's not like it's never been done. Brioche sweaters have never been done before, but I thought this design was so similar in so many ways that it looked like borrowing to me or copying, and it's hard in knitwear designers often end up having similar designs, not always on purpose, but also you get inspired by something you saw and then it just happens. But the reason it got me really mad was it was from Drops. So Drops Gun Studio is a really big, I guess you all know them, company, and they make yarn and they have free patterns, and they have been very well known to steal patterns in the past. There has been the whole story about the mameluca, the how you call it, the bloomers, the knitted bloomers, I think it was last year. That was like a direct, they just copied from a designer. It was a free pattern, I think, and they just took the pattern and published it as their own without any credits or anything, and it is not the first time. I think the sweater they published now is similar to mine, but I wouldn't say it's a direct copy, but it has so many elements that are the same. So that was really frustrating because their pattern is free and mine is not, and I spent a lot of time coming up with this idea, and yeah. But then I looked through the other patterns and I'm not the only one. This time in this they release like a bunch of patterns, like from a magazine, I think, every time, and there is a sweater and a cardigan design just that is a complete rip-off of the little sheep hat, the bobble hat I think it's called, which was made for the Shetland Wool Week some years ago, if I'm not wrong. And that one, they just took the color work pattern and just put it in a sweater instead, and it's really infuriating when you see that. It gets me really angry to see that they just do that without even, it was so similar. I mean, it's exactly the same. They just maybe removed a few things, but it is the same. And there was also a sweater design that looked a lot like one of Stephen West's shawls, but like the same technique but in a sweater. So it's one of the things I really don't like about drops, is that they have this lack of what is the word in English? They don't respect the indie designers at all. They're so big, and I know they got a lot of comments on Facebook when there was the whole case with the bloomers, and they just deleted them or ignored them, from what I know. And another thing that makes me not like drops at all, as I have cheap yarn, and it's the yarn I started knitting with. I think most people, it's easily available, you can get it many places, and it's cheap, right? And it's not bad quality as such, but the thing is, I remember I went to a yarn shop in Copenhagen once, and she was closing down, and she told me that one of the reasons she had to close was that drops pressure the little yarn shops to do sales. And she said she couldn't afford the sale because she was not making any money on the yarn. She didn't have the economy in her shop to just do a sale like that, but drops forces them to do sales. So little yarn shops are forced by this big company to sell their yarn without any profit. She wouldn't get any profit from selling it, and I think that's just disgusting. I mean, and she said she wasn't, because I actually came in there to get the yarn on sale, and she told me she wouldn't sell it on sale, and she knew that she would get in trouble with drops for this, but she just couldn't afford to sell it at a lower price. So I don't like their ways, and I don't like their politics, the company politics, so I wouldn't support them in the future, and I will really try to avoid using drops. And I would recommend everyone else, if you want to support indie designers and support the small yarn shops, then please don't buy drops. I understand that it's tempting, and I don't know, it's not like I'm saying, oh, you're bad if you use drops or buy drops, but just try to think about it in the future. Is there an alternative that could be used? And maybe use that instead. And that's really all I wanted to say about copying. It's a big topic in knitting and knitwear designing, and I don't want to go too much into it. I was just really frustrated seeing drops really not caring and just taking other people's designs, and the things I know about them already just made me even more angry. So I just wanted to give you a little information about drops from what I know. I'm sure there's much more to it, but yeah, just to keep that in mind. Next up, I really wanted to talk about baby knits. As I mentioned, I think, we had a scan yesterday, so around 20 weeks you have a scan, at least in Denmark you do, just to check all the organs and everything is okay with the baby, and everything was fine. We were so happy, and she was really sweet, and she kept saying, I'm so happy with what I see, the lady who was doing the scan, and she was so happy with everything. And we got to know the sex of the baby, and I thought I just wanted to tell, because I don't know, I'm not good at keeping secrets. So it's a boy, it's gonna be a little boy, and maybe you guessed from the gloves, but they're not particularly boyish, I think. Or the mittens. Yeah, it's a little boy. We saw the little tap on the scan. It's really exciting because we already have a girl, and this way I don't think we will have more than two kids, so this way we have a chance to have a boy as well. If it had been a girl, I would be perfectly happy the same. We choose to know the gender, the sex. Those two words, I get them mixed up in English, but we choose to know the sex because first of all, it's exciting to know, but second of all, our 3-year-old, I thought it would be a bit easier for her to kind of relate to the baby when she knows what it is. And she's been saying the whole time she wanted a baby brother, so now we could fulfill her wish. I mean, and anyway, everything would have, I mean, we're happy with any any, just a child, a healthy baby. That's the important part. But I think it's fun to have something to focus on, because everything is such a big question mark when you're pregnant. So it's just something to think about. And about knitting, I don't think I knit super gender specific. It's more this. I think I do it more now that my daughter is bigger, because she likes dresses and she wants to wear like girly clothes more and more. But I'm not in, like, it doesn't have to be pink and blue for me. The only thing is, I just realized when I had her, I got a little more into the pink and the frilly stuff and the ruffles and so on. It just happened. I just indulged in it. It was fun. But I went up to find the knitwear I made last time, like little baby knits. They have been locked down in a bag, in a plastic bag that, you know, these IKEA bags you can get. They are like with a zipper and you can suck out the air. So they've all been hidden away for over 2 years now. And I looked through it and I found some of the baby knits. It's not all of it, because I didn't want to mess everything up, and I'm sure I have baby stuff other places, but I found most of the baby knits and I pulled them out, and I just thought to go through them and show you, because actually they're pretty gender neutral, and I think in many cases I put little accents that can be changed. So, but let me just show you what I made for her and talk a little bit about it, and then I wanted to talk about an idea I have afterwards. So I made these little socks. I don't exactly remember the pattern, and at the time I was doing baby knits. I think I made these once I was on maternity leave, and I didn't use Ravelry, and I was not really good at, I didn't use Instagram either 3 years ago, so I don't have much records of what I made and what patterns. I think this was a free pattern on Ravelry. They're just tiny baby socks, and I made this with garnet cell Highlandsull, which is a very nice yarn once you wash it. It's very light and woolly. It's 100% wool. It smells really bad of spinning oil. So the only thing is, it just took a lot of washes for me to get. It's not pleasant to work with for me because of the smell. But other than that, it's a really nice yarn. And this one is like a mild, has a little different colors in there, but it's mostly like a sandy, little bit yellow, yeah, neutral color. So little tiny socks. And I made this hat, which is a hat by, now I have to think, oh boy, I always get her mixed up with another Danish knitwear designer. I will put the name. It's from a book, which again is lost. I should have looked this up before, but it's from a book. I will put all the information. It's a very sweet little pattern. You just do increases and decreases around these little Fox cables. I think they're not real cables. They're like, you don't need a cable needle to do them and stuff. And I made this one even smaller. I don't remember exactly what I did, because the smaller size I felt was too big, and it was. This one fit a newborn perfectly. So I wish I remember exactly what I did, but it's still in really nice conditions. I didn't use it all that much, but it's knit up in Sandnes duo. Is it called mini duo? It's a half wool, half cotton, and it just has a really nice stitch definition, and was the one recommended in the book. And it's just in white. It was her first little hat to wear when she got home, and when we took her home from the hospital, and I will use it again for the little boy. I think it's perfectly fine for a little boy. So together with that, I made a blanket, which I have been showing a bit on Instagram. I will just go and get it because it's really nice. This is the little blanket. I recently washed it because it had some yellow stains. So I washed it and left it out to dry in the really nice sunny weather we had to try to remove some of the yellow stains. I don't know what they were from, but this is a huge blanket. It's knit in the same yarn, so it's Sandnes mini duo, I think. I have a Ravelry page for this one, I'm pretty sure, so I can put that down below. It's has a very nice seat stitch edge. Seat stitch edge. Some things are really hard to say in English. Has a nice seat stitch edge, and then these little flowers or leaves. Yeah, they look like leaves. All the way across, and it took me forever to knit. It was this kind of project that I started in the beginning of the pregnancy, and I got it, I finished it, but it took forever. But it's really beautiful, and I'm really happy with it, and I used it a lot when she was a baby. She was a summer baby, and I will have a winter baby this time, but I still think like a lightweight blanket is really useful when, especially if the house is really warm in the winter. Generally we have the houses very warm, so it doesn't make sense to knit really heavy stuff for indoors. I think this will still be good, or it will be good in the summer when he will be around half a year old. I still used it for my little girl. So something really nice I made, and I made it together with the head. So I have another blanket, baby blanket. I actually only had those two, and I have a third one, which I'm not gonna go get now. I have enough to show. But this one is one my mom knit. I think she held the yarn double, and it's knit in the really nice thick Gotland wool. Oh, the camera went. Oh God. I was just talking about this, and then the camera foot started falling again. I really need to find a different system, and I probably should get something that's not my phone to record with. But she made this gorgeous, really beautiful woolen blanket out of Gotland wool, and it is the same as the Plötulopi sweater. You can see it's the same wool. It's my parents' sheep wool that they had spun at a local mill. So it's a Gotland sheep with a little bit of merino mixed in. I think they mix in the merino only to make the Gotland easier to spin for their machines. And it is not 100% the natural color. It's a bit darker. They mixed in some black, I think, or the merino was black. So it's a little bit darker than the natural color, but it's such a beautiful charcoal color. And you will find this color on the sheep. So it's just about, once you shear the sheep, you will have light and dark, and then if you want more of a specific color and you don't have enough to completely, organize the colors, then you can mix in something darker just to keep the color more even. As you can see, it gets this amazing halo, and Gotland wool gets so soft. This blanket we use to put on top of the pram. In Denmark, it's a little fun fact, babies sleep outside in a pram all year. I mean, I think if it gets below -15, they don't let them sleep outside, for example in daycare and so on, but other than that, children will sleep outside in a pram. Prams here are made, they're quite big. I mean, you can also buy smaller ones, but the size you use for babies is quite big, and they can sleep in the pram up until around 2 years old, and they are made to be suited for the weather, so you can close them off quite nice, and they sleep with normally a duvet or like a sleeping bag that's padded, specific kind of sleeping bag, and we used this blanket on top, and it was always felt very nice and cozy. This wool is so good with the weather. I'm losing my breath. Every pregnant podcaster out there is saying the same. I lose my breath, and it's just how it is. You start to have less space in your stomach for breathing and food and stuff. So moving on, those were the blankets. I made this little very cute vest. Everything is of course wrinkled because it's been in this bag. And this one I knit in a yarn that's discontinued from Tusindfryd. It was called Tusindfryd. And I don't remember, I think it's Kamarosa now. I'm not sure. I will try to see if I can remember to look it up. And this little pattern is from a Danish yarn shop in the city where I lived before, which is called Tante Grøn. So I got the pattern from there. I think the pattern was from the yarn, and I just got it from the lady. They make their own patterns, so sometimes I get confused. No, I think this was from Tusindfryd. You can find it on the blog, maybe. I will put a link. For this one. Again, I don't have a Ravelry page. This one is very girly, and I wouldn't put this on a boy. It's gonna be the episode where my camera fell down around 50 times, and now the lighting is weird. It's raining outside, so lighting is kind of strange. Just to come back to, I wouldn't put a little boy in this one. I think it's too girly, especially with the color. Maybe without the color it would be fine. It has like a little empire waist thingy, and I picked a button from my grandma's old button jar, which is like a mother of pearl button, but I just think the back of these buttons it's just the prettiest. I really like to use the back of mother of pearl buttons. So this was a very nice little, she used it a lot, vest. Again, I think it's too girly for a boy, but I will keep it. And it got this, I talked about this, I think on Instagram. What did I asked somewhere how to get rid of these yellow stains. These are from Spit Up. And I got a message, yeah, it was on Instagram. I asked about that you can use the sun to bleach the stain off, but I don't know how that would work on a colored garment. It works on the white garments. I actually got most of the stains off the white blanket, but it's just so sad. All these yellow stains, there's more down here and here. So I don't know how to get that off. She's had a lot of Spit Up, my little one. So it's also one of the reasons that hand knits were not the most practical, because all of these are non-superwash. I don't know if this was superwash, I think not. But generally I don't knit in superwash, so it makes it a little more challenging to wash everything by hand. If you have a Spit Uppy and not so quiet baby, she was not the easy, she was a very fussy baby, so I didn't have much time. I could put her down. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping. So yeah, that's just one thing about baby knits. Sometimes you don't get to wear them as much as you wish, or you get to wear them. They don't get to wear them as much as you wish. And that's the case for this one actually, because I knit this little cardigan. It's a Pickles design. It was free in the newborn size. When I don't think they have the designs. They used to have one size for free on the website. I don't think they have that anymore. It has like garter sleeves. I don't remember what yarn I used, but I held it double, and it's a very nice little, I used some fabric buttons, and I think I knit this one before I knew if it was a boy or a girl, so I just put blue buttons. Again, that's the thing, and I put buttons on the inside, so you can see it's a little wrap cardigan. And the reason I didn't use this one is not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just that it's a cardigan I made before I knew that it would be really hot in August when she was born, and she was generally a really warm baby. I think maybe because of the Spit Up and so on, she would sweat a little bit or get red in the face, and she wouldn't like if I put too warm clothes on her, so I didn't really get to use any of the newborn heavier knits that I made. And in Denmark, August can be quite cold, so I just made some just in case. But this will be perfect for the little guy coming in January. I think this will be really nice for him. So it will get used, and I'm really happy about that. It's very nice and squishy with this garter stitch on the sleeves. And it was a Pickles design. I said I don't remember the name, but I will try to list everything as I can find it in the info box down below. I always do that, so that's the show notes I make. I just find it easier if it's on the video, so you don't have to go somewhere else or in a Ravelry group or Okay, so I have one more knit in the same yarn, the Garnusel Highland wool. And these are little bloomers. I pretty much made these without a pattern. I think I looked up how many stitches to cast on from some other pattern, and as you can see I made an extra eyelet hole here for the belt, which of course was not necessary, and I don't remember, I put in a little elastic in the legs. I put in a little elastic in the legs that I just like folded over gussets, and I removed them when she was older. So when she was little they had little elastics and were more like bloomers, and now they're more shortsy, and I think these will be perfectly fine. Yeah, they have been washed, so the tassels don't look that great. They've been squished in the plastic bag. Yeah, I made a little I-cord. I think it's called I-cord when it's also like a little drawstring and with tassels. And what I was saying, I think these will be perfectly fine to maybe change this for a different color, and they will be good to go for a boy. So that's a really good trick if you are knitting baby knits and you maybe want them to be usable for more children, and you don't know if it's a boy or girl, but you want to do something that's maybe a bit more gender specific, like using pink. I mean, you can use pink. This is falling again. You can use pink for boy. It's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying if you want to go with the more not so neutral colors or like things, I think it's a good idea to just do the accents in this color. Like with this one, you can just remove the little drawstring and they will be fine for a little boy. So they will get more use. They're super light. The yarn is, this is the leftover from the vest. It's the Tusindfryd, and this is the Highland wool. Okay, one last one. I'm talking for a long time, I'm sorry. I hope if you don't feel like watching these long episodes, that you just split them up into parts, or let me know if they're really too long, and I will try to shorten them. I could have done 2 episodes, but I always think I have too little to talk about, and then I end up having too much. I don't know how I do this. On to the last little piece of knitwear I wanted to show. This is a little vest. I think it's from the same book as the blanket and the little bonnet, and it's a vest knit in it's a rib texture, so it's quite good for babies because it fits smaller babies and bigger babies, and it's knit in an alpaca. I think this is from Sandnes. Yeah, so Sandnes alpaca something. It's a nice dark, not charcoal gray, but like a dark, middle dark gray. I put the little buttons, fabric buttons on this one as well. They don't wash that well, so maybe I wouldn't use them so much for baby knits in the future. And I think I might just change them for a boy because, again, pink buttons, I don't know, maybe I just leave them. Doesn't really bother me. I used this for a long time on my daughter. It's very easy. It's just she was drooling a lot, and when you have alpaca under the double chins, it can get a little bit like leaves the hairs, and it's not that great. I don't think alpaca is that perfect for baby knits. It's soft, but it's also, yeah, I don't know. So I'm more for the wools. I think I will use more wool for the next one. So that's my pile, and then I found a few things, I sew. Always sounds strange when I say it in past. I made for her. I sewed. You know what I mean. I made them on a sewing machine. I made her these tiny, tiny bloomers. I think they're the same, both front and back. I used to put her in these with the little pink vest, and I thought they were just adorable. No pattern. I don't think I used a pattern. And I just stitched an elastic in here with the zigzag. So really simple, and a drawstring, like an elastic up here in the top, and these were so adorable. I can't believe they are so tiny. I can't believe she ever fit into these, and that I will have another baby fitting into these tiny things. These are even more tiny. But she wore these. I made this again. It's just little pants. They have like a knit fabric waist without elastic and cuffs, and I just did a little tracing of another pair of pants she had, and these are so quick to make, especially if you have an overlocker. And so really cute little pants. You can use I used those fat quarters to just whip out a little pair of pants for her when she was so tiny. So those are fun. And this one is just made out of the like knit fabric, a little bit thick knit fabric, and again no pattern, just tracing a pair of pants. And I made this, I used a pattern for these. Oh, it's so wrinkly, and they're fully lined with this dotted fabric, and they have little buttons between the legs, just the cutest little romper, and a little button in the back, snap button. So I can't wait to make more of these tiny things. They didn't get as much wear as, let's say, the things I'm making for her now. It's a little more, they get a little more wear, so it's perhaps a bit more fun. But those fast pants you can whip up in an hour or so when you have an overlocker are really great. So yeah, and looking at all of this, which was very nice and made me really nostalgic about the things I made for her and the ideas and dreams and everything. I thought it would be really fun to make a cal for baby knitting / small size knitting. I didn't want to make it only for baby knitting, so I thought up to 3 years would be a good point to change. Around 3 years. I'm not gonna be policing and saying, oh, if it's, I mean, just, it shouldn't be for bigger children. That's what I thought. And I wanted to make the cal, I think I will name it Tiny Knits Cal. And it should just be a fun cal where we can support each other. If we're moms or knitting for someone else, it doesn't matter, grandmothers. It's not important who you are, but you are knitting baby stuff. And sometimes it can be really hard to know what yarn is good to use, what patterns are really good to use, what is practical for babies. So I thought it would be a fun cal where we can discuss and talk about baby knits and all these questions you have when you want to make something for a small human being. And yeah, I thought it would be fun. I don't know when it's gonna end. I don't really have all the details set, but I thought I would start it up and then it's gonna be really chill. Chill kind of cal, just to share a lot of information that sometimes we forget to share, or you have to go on each Ravelry page to see. So I will get some more information and maybe have the guidelines a bit more clear. But I thought to start this cal up and just share the baby knits we make, and there won't be too many rules. It will just be having fun with knitting for tiny people. I think that's it. I talked for an hour now. It will probably be a bit shorter once I edit it, but I'm done talking. It was so lovely I just felt really inspired to do this podcast today. I looked at the baby knits and I just wanted to make this cal, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I hope you feel like joining. If you have any gift knits, that's perfect. Or if you are expecting a baby, or you have a baby already, why not? We can just have fun with it. It's not only for newborns. So anything else? I don't think so. I will be back as soon as I have something new to show and talk about, and whenever I have time. I hope you will have a lovely time until we talk again, and I'll see you soon. Bye!